Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Hold on, I lost my headphones.
Well, that didn't take long.
Okay, there we go.
Right
I had to
off
go
the
get
bat.
I had to go get the goat. I forgot the goat ahead of time. He's the magic goat.
He is.
Oh.
Hey, Prost, my friend. Das Boot in the house.
I don't have one. You left me out. I got a paper Arby's cup.
Gonna celebrate our Oktoberfest in this house.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. Yo, YouTube. Welcome back to another live. We've got Charlie and a whole bunch of different goats. No more just stew. We can't leave it at just stew anymore.
The goats are getting deep.
Goats are multiplying. They're like rabbits. They're here now and we can't get rid of them.
That's what they do, right?
Charlie, I got a joke for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Owen.
Owen who?
0-2 are the Brewers against the Dodgers.
Ah, okay. How's that Spirit Halloween doing at Wrigley?
Fine.
Oh, okay.
I'd shop there if I was close enough.
Good to see they have a use for it.
That's right. They made it. They won one less game than you guys will. That's how that'll go. That's how that'll end up.
Yet.
No, but it's like all seriousness. It's going to be a tough climb now.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it.
Ohtani's pitching tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, I haven't looked ahead to see, but
so
all I know is we will not have an ace on the mound for the Brewers.
Right. Yeah, the Brewers have gone through 14 pitchers, I think, in 2 games, and the Dodgers have gone through like 3 or 4. And the only reason they went through that many is because they couldn't finish the 9th inning. Because otherwise, it was Blake Snell had that one. They should have just let him pitch a complete game.
Yeah, and Yoshi was pitching well.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I enjoyed the Seattle and Blue Jays series. I watched a little bit of that.
That was
pretty good.
I had that on a few times.
My man Julio with a nice 3-run home run the other night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cal Raleigh keeps it up.
Yep. Yeah, it's a solid team.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see. Now, can either of those 2 teams stand up to the Dodgers? I don't know. Depends on the pitching.
Yeah, I don't know enough about those 2 American League teams to really say.
Yeah, and the problem the Brewers are going to have through the end of the series here is Ohtani. They don't pitch him. They keep walking him. You know, and for as much as the Dodgers have won by, it could have been a lot more. They screwed up a lot of men on base situations and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So kind of like that weird double play thing that they had off the wall, and
that was crazy.
It was. So it's, you know, I don't know. It doesn't look too good for the Crew, that's for sure. But
so the Dodgers and the Mariners must have met in interleague play this year. Yeah. So back in late September, actually, Dodgers edged out the Mariners 3-2 in game 1. Dodgers won 5-3 in game 2, and the Dodgers completed the sweep with a 6-1 victory.
But you know what doesn't matter? Regular season baseball.
I know the Brewers swept the Dodgers in the regular season too.
Right. So there's some players and some teams that are just October warriors, you know, if you will.
Yeah.
I think part of it is it's a long season, right? And you kind of get to the end and you run out of gas, and then you start playing these night games, and you know, obviously there's more pressure and all that, but the way the game is played is a little bit different. You know, you see different pitchers, there's more changes, and it's just tough. It's a tough one to. You can't say we won all 6 games in the regular season, so we're going to win the playoffs. It's just not like that. So, and there's other things that come into play. Who was injured? Who was resting that day? Who was pitching? Did they call up some kid and try a new pitcher to give their starters a rest? There's so many different, lot of different angles to baseball from what there is from other sports. But anyway, I'm having some fun. I don't watch the games themselves, but I'm watching the highlights and stuff. And I was busy last night. I was at Lambeau Field listening to Mark Murphy, so that was kind of interesting. He had some good stories. Mark, for those who don't know, Mark Murphy was the manager. Was he the GM? I don't even know what his title was.
General manager. No,
Yeah.
Goody's the general manager. He was the president of the Green Bay.
President?
Yeah.
Okay. He was the president for several years. He retired in July, I believe.
Mandatory retirement.
Okay.
It's in the bylaws of the Packers. Once you reach
I believe you. I don't
age,
know. Yeah, that's fine.
It's a mandatory retirement. I find it kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think more companies are doing that though to try to make sure that they get some turnover, if you will. But anyway, he had great stories about, because he played in the NFL, of course, and it was like a scouts fundraiser thing last night, so it was fun.
Safety, wasn't he?
Linebacker, I think.
Oh, I think he was a safety. Mark.
I don't know. He was telling us a story about how he tried to tackle Earl Campbell and it didn't work out very well.
Yeah, that sounds like a safety.
Mark
run over. Murphy. He was a safety for the Washington Redskins.
There you go.
Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, he won Super Bowl 17. Yeah, I knew he played for the Redskins. I guess I knew it was defense too, but I didn't know what position. But yeah, it's that was fun. It was fun. It was interesting to hear some of his stories, and you can tell he held a position like that, which generally doesn't get shown any love. No matter what you do, is kind of wrong, because he just kind of like said things and didn't really care how people felt about him. They talked about the Favre thing and then the Rodgers thing, and he was like, "Well, people here didn't really like Aaron Rodgers, so it wasn't really as hard as the like he's just straight up honest with stuff," and it was kind of interesting. Yeah, that's him. Well, he's a little older than that now, but yeah.
We affectionately call him Opie around here.
Very Opie, yes, very very much so. But great speaker. It was good time. I heard from a lot of talented young scouts that are doing a lot of different things, and it was good. It was a good experience. Food was good too, so bonus there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Beef tips?
No, it was chicken and like diced potatoes kind of thing. So
all right, okay.
Kind of like their basic wedding menu, if you will,
sure.
Their wedding service. But yeah, it was fun.
Sounds like a good evening.
So tonight we don't have anything specific to talk about. We thought we'd have a little bit more of a like we ever know what we're talking about. We thought we'd have a little bit more of a free-for-all night, so we're hoping we get some good participation in the chat. And of course, tonight we don't have a single comment yet. Go figure.
Nobody wanted to be first tonight?
You guys do it. It's on you. So join us, participate. It's a lot more fun that way. The only thing that I kind of was thinking of that I kind of wanted to talk about was, can you guess?
No, I'm not very good at guessing.
Okay. Just the slowdown time of year. It is kind of. Sure. There's been a lot of alarm thrown up on the Discord, different chats. By the way, the Discord banner's running along the bottom there, so click on that and join that thing. It's free. But there's been a lot of, it was really slow this weekend, or my live shows weren't very good, and it's just kind of that everywhere. It's not like it's an eBay thing or a whatnot thing or anything like that. And yeah, I've been doing this for a lot of years now, and this is always the slowest time.
Yeah.
It's that, which it doesn't, to some degree, it doesn't make sense, because it's like football's in heavy swing and baseball's getting into playoffs, and those are the two things I sell the most of. Basketball's just about ready to kick off. So is hockey. Kickoff, I suppose that's the wrong term. Tip off. There you go. Hockey's about to face off, right? And so you'd think, well, geez, that's a culmination of a lot of, cyclical things that should bump
Yeah.
some cards, and some cards will. But for the most part, this is just people just aren't buying this time of year. You're not most people that are buying cards are buying for themselves. And we're coming up to the season where you're buying Christmas presents and, spending on other things. And it just slows because of that.
Yeah.
Then, like mid-November through late February, early March, we see the boom where you have people are done with Christmas, they're done paying for Christmas, they come back in, buy some more cards, they got money for Christmas, um, people buying cards for other people for Christmas, as gifts, and then the new year starts and people are getting tax returns and like there's all this kind of stuff. So, um, and that tax return money kind of goes through that early March period for the most
Right.
part. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that. Like, it's don't get alarmed. Cards aren't dying. They're not going away. It's just sort of that time where we see that kind of natural slowdown.
Yeah, I was looking to get some insight on that, and this is very typical for a slowdown this time of year. Sales and prices, for that matter, often soften in mid-October through early November before picking back up around Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And it's a lot to do with the sports season cycles. And, like you said, Adam, it's somewhat surprising because you have so many things going on. But when you look at the individual cycles of each of those sports, football demand peaks early in the NFL season. So now we're coming down from that early hype peak. Um, and baseball is typically strongest during the season. So now, early playoff rounds tend to dip down a little bit, and then the World
Hmm.
Series, they'll come back up. And then you get early season hockey, early season basketball. Um, some long seasons there where, you know, really early season isn't super exciting. So
Yeah, and that's I'm sure that's true too. But I think a lot of it really has to do with just the shopping time of year, the buying season, if you will. A lot of retailers see slowdowns this time of year, and then that Black Friday time frame hits, and that's why Amazon always does their Prime in October because it's like their worst month for sales. So they throw the Prime out and try to get some of that early Christmas money and try to get some business in October.
yeah. Now, one thing we often talk about is what are some things you can do when sales aren't booming? And that is often a great time to reassess some of your processes and the way you're doing things, reorganize some inventory, clean some things out, restock on some things. There are lots of activities that getting a little sales slowdown is sometimes beneficial because you get time to do some of those other things you're often pushing off.
Yeah, I agree. And that was kind of my response in the Discord too. Is well, you this is my time of year to sort of get some things cleaned up. I also sell other stuff. I'm more so this time of year. I would list toys I have or vintage T-shirts, or I sold some patches this past week, some coins. I sold a uh, thermal detonator toy that doesn't work anymore, a Disney Parks exclusive thing.
Yep.
I sold a Lego set. What else did I sell? A pair of AirPods. Fairly random things. We're getting the pickup for that type of stuff because that's like early Christmas buying and whatnot. So I like to try to get that stuff kind of moved out, in this time when I don't have as many cards going. It also helps your numbers, right? Because you can sell a few of those items, it kind of makes up for, a few less cards that you sell. But I have more stuff like that to list.
Yep.
And then, like Charlie said, I just want to prepare for that mid-November, late November boom and make sure I have as much stuff listed as possible and ready to go.
Yep.
Make sure you have enough supplies, make sure you have, things organized, make sure you have, uh, set some time, be prepared. I guess it's your
Yeah.
time to sort of get ready for that time of year.
Yeah. I mean, you can maybe optimize some listings. Maybe there's some listings you did a long time ago that you weren't really you hadn't learned your A game yet. It's a good time to maybe go refresh some of those. Good time to look at your promotions, maybe refresh those, do something new there. Maybe check out the boost feature on some things. Experiment a little bit. It's a great time for that. I know there's a number of different things that I'm trying out. I expedited my first order yesterday. So it's a great time of year to take a little more time to, learn a new skill or, expand on something. So testing and learning different things is a good time to do that. And then to Adam's point, just prepare for that peak season, right? Once we get to Black Friday, things kind of kick in gear, however you want to look at it, but things definitely pick up in the entire retail sphere, not just in the department stores and the malls, but online sales as well.
Yeah, it's also a good time to maybe do some of that cross listing. If you've been kind of putting that off and you're using Car Dealer Pro, you have access to collects and whatnot now with your eBay listings. This might be a good time to sit down, take a little time, and get some of that stuff over there, because there's going to be shoppers there too.
Yeah.
In the upcoming season, and we always think, well, this is where my customers go in my eBay store. Yeah, but you might have different customers this time of year. You might have a wife buying for a husband or a boyfriend buying for a girlfriend, whatever the case may be, mom for a son or daughter. And they might say, well, I've bought stuff on Whatnot and I like Whatnot. I'll go see what they got for cards and not even really think about eBay. Because Whatnot sells all kinds of different things as well, just like eBay does. So I think you just want to put in any efforts you can to try to be in a better position come in November. If you're spending your time doing like that, it's not a waste of time, even though your sales are less and it looks like you're not being as successful.
Yeah.
Every retail industry has times where things are great and things are not as great. And it's not necessarily something on your own side that's the problem. It's just how things are.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Jay-Z is the first in today. Joe says, "What up, Goat Boys?"
Oh no, we're goat boys now.
That's right.
What was that? Remember that the goat boy on Saturday Night Live? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It just totally popped
Jim
in my head
Brewer.
now.
Yep.
Goat boy. Oh yeah, Jim Brewer. Yeah, perpetually high Jim Brewer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's hilarious. That's great.
Yep.
What up, Joe? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Zero sales and collects in 2 weeks. Oof. That's brutal. Mine has slowed down a bit from when I first started sending everything over there, which makes sense because it's not all new listings and whatnot. But I still consistently have sales. I have a sale at least every other day or so. Sometimes a little more than that. But Whatnot has definitely been better for me than collects. That's hands down. So just stick to it. Get some more stuff listed in there. Doesn't take you any extra effort to list the collects than it did to send it to eBay. So it still makes sense.
Yeah, I still get, a couple regular sales every week on collects. Enough where I keep a running balance there and, use my full collects credit every month. I have had trouble. You've probably seen in our Discord. I have had trouble with deliveries on purchases I make on collects. I have just a pretty consistent run of people shipping not meeting standard envelope terms, I guess I would say. I get deliveries with postage due. This week it was a 3-card order that arrived with $5.98 due. Yeah, because
Brutal.
the seller, in good conscience, is trying to protect the cards, right? And I have talked to this seller. They may be on here tonight. Really good guy. We had a good educational conversation about it. Led to some more purchases as well. But the seller had put each of the 3 cards individually in a top loader, in an envelope, and then added a ding defender as well. So it became too rigid. It might have been too thick too. I still
I'm sure
have
it was
not
too
gotten the
thick.
envelope in my hands. I just
Yeah.
got the letter from USPS saying we're ransoming you for $5.98 if you want your
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how they do that, isn't it?
But then I talked to the seller, and he
Mhm.
indicated he had not been doing this for very long yet. He was open to feedback. So then we had a conversation. Okay, exactly how did you package these cards? Well, I put them each in a top loader. Aha. Okay. So depending on how those were arranged and what kind of envelope you used, that could be an issue. Oh, I put a ding defender in there as well. Ooh, yeah. Envelopes definitely not good for a ding defender. Yeah. So we had a good conversation about that. I've got 2 Ken Griffey Jr. rookies and a Ricky Henderson rookie coming from him, partially in exchange for the extra postage. And then we talked through, hey, here's exactly how I would like you to package that for me. I would like them in a single card saver, each individually sleeved in a number 10 envelope, nothing else. He's like, cool, I can do that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the standard for the shipping. That's how we do
Mhm.
it. So,
Yeah.
pretty confident it'll get through that way. Yeah, to sellers' credit, they want to try to do a good job and impress
Yeah.
you and put
Yes.
a thank you card in and wrap it in paper and do all these things, which is appreciated. But you're right, it doesn't follow the rules, and it's gonna get cost. The post office doesn't care about your quality of delivery to your customer. They care about getting enough money for the services that they're providing,
And not having to touch it.
and not having to touch it, making sure it doesn't take up too much space, because space is all the premium when you're doing logistics for delivery. So, yeah, that's a tough one. There's not really you can't really win in that argument. These are the rules. You got to stick to that. And um, but you did the right thing. You educated the seller, and you're going to pay the postage because you want the cards, and he's doing the right thing, trying to make up for it a bit, and offering
Mhm.
you some discounts on some other things, and that's the
Yeah.
best you can do, right?
It's one shortcoming of collects. I think we would both say there's a number of shortcomings with collects at times, but one that has stood out to me dealing with some of these is it does not have the ability to process a partial refund. It's all or nothing, or work it out amongst yourselves.
But not's kind of a pain in the butt to do a refund on too.
Is it? Okay.
The other thing is I got kind of confused by this, but I had a buyer on Whatnot buy 3 separate cards in 3 separate transactions, and only paid shipping on the one, didn't pay shipping on the other 2, but I was unable to combine the order into one package. So I'm like, well, so am I supposed to pay the postage myself on the other 2 cards? And there's no way to just go in the other sales and add a tracking number just to say, like, oh, I shipped
Yeah.
this with this thing. Here's a tracking number. It says generate label. That's literally the only button you get, or cancel the order. That's the other option.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's pretty weird. So all I did was marked it shipped on each of them, shipped all 3 together, and we'll see how it goes. They're like $2 or $3 cards. So, if things don't work out and I don't get the funds or whatever, but as long as the buyer receiving it says, hey, good to go, I got this one, you should get paid. So
Right.
the
Right.
shipping portion and tracking portion of itself is not really relevant. And unlike eBay, they don't like grade you on how many of your shipments had tracking and things like that. They don't measure any of that stuff. So
Yeah.
that was the only way I could figure out to do it. But I don't really like that. I would rather have a tracking number in each card, or a way to it's kind of weird because there's no way to combine orders on Whatnot, individual orders, but there is a way when it's when it shows up as a combined order to uncombine it. So like, why would you have an option to uncombine it, but you couldn't combine it?
Yeah.
So I don't know, some quirky things with whatnot. I gotta spend some time on, and it still boggles my mind that they don't have envelope shipping, even though they offer it for live shows.
Right.
It makes zero sense.
I was looking away here for a minute to double check something to kind of put a pin on Joe's comment there. With collects, one tip I would have for you is make sure that you are checking out the seller discount feature. So eBay's front and center, your ability to run a promotion or discount. Collects has it as well. You have to go to it in the seller tools. It's not as prominent, but they do have a discounting tool. So you might want to check that out so that people can bundle. For example, what do I have set right now? Orders over $25, an extra 20% off I have set in collects. So
interesting. Where is that again?
It's in the seller tools. I would love to pull up a screen and share it.
I know.
But they're only an app on the phone.
And that's another problem for them too. They need to have a desktop version.
There is software I have where I can run apps on my desktop, but I don't feel like messing with it right now.
Sure.
But yeah, they have a discounting feature. It's structured much different than eBay. Not as many options. It's just pick a dollar amount of sales and a discount that goes with it. That's your only option. Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't been too concerned about it because I don't get like big collects orders. It's usually just a couple of cards here, a couple of cards there, and that's about it.
Yep.
So just let me know if that hits, if you get some orders out of that.
Yeah, I just turned it on a few days ago because over the last 5 days, I've spent a lot of time kind of resetting my promotional strategies. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay.
Shutface is here. Feel like I've probably talked to Shutface many times over the years, not even knowing who it is.
Shut your face.
He says, yo to the O, or Y to the O. That's what it is.
Y to the O. He says yo, which is correct. You're allowed one yo. 2 yos is a toy, 3 yos is mine. So yo to you, Shutface. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. By the way, those of you not joining us live and are watching this recorded, try to join us live. We do this every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. If you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell, you'll be notified when we're live, so you don't have to try to remember it all the time. And of course, if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with somebody that you think might enjoy it as well. And it's all about the live contact. So try to invite as many of you as possible to join us. Before we do any more chat, I got one quick update on the GOAT show that was given to me right before we started. We're 60% sold out already for the January show. Yeah, so that's not bad. We had to kind of hustle out of there this last time. They had another event setting up right behind us. So we didn't really get to spend as much time trying to get tables booked already for the next show, which has been very successful for us. So very thankful that Brianna was able to chase down some of the dealers, through contact afterwards and say, hey, you interested in the January show? We even had a couple dealers reached out to us too, right? That said, hey, I got out of there and I don't think I booked for January. Can I book my tables? So it's a good sign. It's a good sign. We're looking to have another successful show. By the way, I don't even know if we announced the show date on here. We do not have a flyer prepared yet. We do have really good giveaways this time. I think some of the best we've had ever for a show. Again, we're not ready to share that yet. We don't have our charity yet. We're just obviously in the early planning stages of this. We did have our post-mortem for the prior show this past Saturday. So Charlie and Jenny and Creed and Caleb came over and we had a nice dinner and talked over some things, made some plans, and we feel like we're definitely ready for the January show, and we're going to keep working on that and get everything ready and set up, and we'll get some more information out to you as we have it. But yeah, like I said, we're already 60% sold out. January is such an awesome time for a show, right? It's right after Christmas. It's winter, so there's not a lot to do. Um, kids just came off a week vacation, so now they're home again for another weekend and driving you nuts, right? So come on out to the Goat Show at Riverside Ballroom, and we'll have packs to give away, and we'll have things to win and goats to find for money. Uh, I'm sure we'll do a live break. We don't have any of that stuff put together yet. We'll come out, like I said, come out with more as time goes on. We just wanted to sort of throw it out there so that you could get it on your calendar, as we know that's a busy time of year as well.
But we do have that date. Were you going to share that date, Adam?
January 4th.
January 4th.
Yeah,
that's
January 4th, Sunday. January 4th, Sunday. I don't know what the football schedule looks like for January 4th, but is what it is. I mean, they're going to be playing games. We can't really do anything about that.
Right.
But a lot of our dealers, they have little. Yeah, I mean, everybody has a device, right? So we have dealers will be watching games, during the show and kind of cheering stuff on. So it's kind of a fun way to come and experience, the football day as well, if you're into that
Right.
sort of thing. But we'll of course have Pokemon. We'll have non-sport. We'll have non-card items. We'll have supplies. We'll have wax. Like I said, hopefully we'll have a break. Lots of things to do and see, and some food and some drinks. So come on out and see us January 4th. Put it on your calendar. And then as we get you more information, it'll just get you more juiced up for it.
That's
Charlie
right.
and I will be there. We'll be doing our live show from the show as well, showing you some pickups and and including those of you who can't be there physically, by kind of letting you share in that experience. So looking forward to that. Another good one.
Absolutely.
All right, enough of that. We can get back to some chat.
So Joe says CDP is terrible in matching Garbage Pail Kids cards, and he wishes the feature was up and running.
I think he's referring to the deep match or whatever.
Again?
Yeah. I don't think it works on non-sport. Anyway, he's not wrong. It does suck at matching GPK. I think it's just hard because there's two cards with the same photo, and it just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't know what to do with that. The good news is it's generally one of two options. So you pull down the drop-down box, you just grab 63B instead of 63A.
Yeah.
And you move on. But yeah, I list a lot of Garbage Pail Kids, and I definitely know what you're talking about, Joe. So I feel your pain. Hopefully that's something that they can improve on. Maybe the AI can focus a little bit more on reading the name on the sticker instead of just the image.
Right.
I don't know. I'm sure that's something that they're looking at.
I do feel it's pretty good at grabbing the right character, though. To your point, it just has trouble figuring out, is it the A or the B image?
Yeah, sometimes it has trouble with the parallels too, because the parallels can be kind of weak. Like, think about the booger parallel. It's just that little bit of green on the very outside of the border, and sometimes it doesn't grab that, and you got to go grab pick the parallel instead of the base. But I don't know. I mean, it misses some of that with sports cards too. So
it does, yeah.
It's just not a perfect science. It's just to try to get you to as close as possible. If it hits the nail on the head a few times, bonus. But they're just trying to get you there and make it as easy as possible. And you just pull down the drop down and pick the one that works. It's still a heck of a lot faster than doing it by hand.
Right. Yeah, we feel your pain there. Wolfie Joe is with us. He says, think there is any market for those new Bazooka Gum sports player wrappers?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I am interested.
Yeah,
I'm sure if it's specific players and it's licensed or anything like that, sure, I would imagine there's going to be a market for it.
Yeah,
we'll find out, I guess.
What would
Bazooka Gum sports player wrappers? So like they put a player on the, like it's a regular pack of gum and they put a player on it? I don't know.
Huh. just doing a quick little bit of research to see if I see anything on it, and nothing immediately comes up in modern state. Lots of information about the old Bazooka Joe stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Tell us more about that, Joe. We're interested.
Yes, Joe. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. It's the floor is yours, Joe. We should have Joe on here sometime. I think Joe would be fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Jay-Z says, I've been looking at what items will be renewing that day and ending them myself and relisting, I think you meant, to refresh my inventory to get more eyes on it.
Yep. That's another great process reminder. You do have to remember that counts against your listing. So if you're close to like your listing limit, you got to watch that a little bit. But yeah, this time of year, again, it's slower. I don't know how much boost you're going to get from that, but that's probably a good practice in when there's more eyes, right, looking at stuff besides.
Yeah. I don't take that approach. I've looked at it a few times. I've thought about it, just haven't really done it that way yet. So, curious to hear more from you, Joe, about how that works for you, how long you've been doing it, and how well you think that works for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Shutface, since eBay is unappreciative of your talents for their live, have you thought more about live selling and whatnot?
Well, I'll let you start on this one, Charlie.
I have a long-term plan for whatnot, but it's not anytime soon. So not really, and I didn't even approach selling on eBay Live either. I'm just not in a position where I feel live selling is for me yet, but I see it in my future. Hence why I started cross-listing my buy it now inventory on whatnot, because when I'm ready, it's going to be easy to just select the cards I want to put in a show and go.
I've done some live selling on whatnot. I will. That's my intention, is to build more on that. I have some other things I'm trying to get done first, but I'm with Charlie. It's a lot easier because I would take the cards I wanted to sell and then build a show and whatnot. I'm like, well, this isn't really saving me any time either. And I wasn't getting great sales on it. I was doing better just selling stuff on eBay. But now that I can just, I think my plan for this is, okay, let's say I want to do let's say the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl, right? So I go to whatnot and I look up, my Cowboys inventory, search for those, and then I start clicking them and adding them to a show, and I do a Super Bowl Cowboys show, right? Boom, they're all right there and ready to go. Love that. Like, that's huge for me. Then I just simply have to get pull them by SKU, just like I would if it was a fixed order. So it seems more viable for me as a long-term play to do more live selling. Whatnot is great in the fact that it's easy to use, it's user friendly. It has some market built. People know it's a live selling platform, but it's also very congested. There's a lot of sellers on there, and it's hard to get an audience. And so one of the things I like right now is I've been selling a lot of fixed inventory on Whatnot. I really wasn't expecting that. I thought stuff would just sit because that's a live selling platform by focus. But I've been getting a lot of fixed sales, and I've been getting a lot of followers on there. Just doing some fixed sales, and I would assume other shoppers coming in and they see the amount of inventory I have, because I have like 70 some thousand listings in there. So I feel like that's where my work is being put in right now. Instead of running a bunch of shows where I don't get a lot of attendance and sales are weak and all that, I'm just trying to build an audience there first, and then start doing live shows with that audience to get those kind of quicker results.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Really?
Build up those followers.
Did that make sense?
Then when you go live with the show, they get a notification, and you've got somewhat of a built-in audience there.
My other hope is that some of them are customers, right? Like they bought some fixed items from me, So they know, what I deliver, and they get their stuff quick and all that kind of thing. They're more likely to come and bid on in my newer shows because they're already a customer as well.
Yeah,
So
if I may do a callback to my podcast this week, you have built trust with those customers.
right.
So they're coming back.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to do on some of these platforms, right? Nobody really knows who you are. I mean, we have, a bit of a social media presence, and that helps for sure. But until they kind of do a transaction with you, they don't really know, what you're all about. So, um, yeah, just taking some time trying to build that up. Uh, Whatnot kind of tracks like how many sales you've had on there, and how you fill them and stuff. And I don't get instant payment on Whatnot anymore, so it'd be nice to have instant payment instead of delivery payment when I go into doing more live, so that
Okay.
you're flipping cards faster, but you have to buy more then, right? You have to keep buying and then flipping and then buying and then flipping. It'd be nice to get some of that money right away and be able to just sort of keep churning it versus waiting for deliveries, trying to keep
Yeah.
track of that. So there's some things that I feel like I'm just not ready for, like a heavy load of live selling. Live selling's tough too, because you have to schedule a certain time, you have to be on something, and I don't always have the same
You have to
times.
be present.
You have to be present. Consistency matters. So if you're going to be like I do a Tuesday show, kind of like us, we do a Wednesday 8 o'clock live show. If when I commit to Whatnot live selling, I want to have Tuesday nights I do this show, Thursday nights I do this show, Wednesday night will always be this show, so I can't do a Whatnot show, of course. But I could do a Friday night lights, right, and do a football show or something. So I want to have something where I can be very consistent with it, and I just can't and don't want to do that right now. And I'm still building out a lot of my fixed listings. I have a pretty good chunk of room yet on my non-sports store, and I really want to try to fill some more of that out. And so, but to your question, yes, that is the thought. eBay Live, it's basically been etch a sketched out of my head, right, as Mike Myers would say. Um, and I'm moving forward, and I'm going to work with Whatnot. I've had a good experience with them so far. They had an awesome presence at the National. Their software is great. Their fees are really good. Um, Huge customer base, growing every day, and you just got to build your own presence there. It's a little bit harder to start from day one and get some solid business like it is on eBay. You have to kind
Yeah.
of build things up a little bit to get there. So that's where that stands. But yes, Whatnot for me right now is the place outside of the fixed listings of eBay
Yeah,
to do business.
you mentioned some payment items there. And that reminds me of something I ran into this week, and something I wasn't aware of until I actually got into this situation. So I thought I'd bring it up. So I recently opened a second eBay account, not a second store,
What?
but a second account for one of my sons to operate in. Okay.
Yep.
He's under 18, so I had to open a store, and then he's managing it, right? So
Sure.
sorry, not a store, an account, just the free
Right.
account, right?
Right.
Well, he's already got some payouts coming to him, so I had to put a payment account on it, and he doesn't have like a bank account or anything of his own. He has a savings account based off of ours, but so I put my account information in there. Did you know there's a rule at eBay that a payment account can only be associated with one eBay account?
That's not true, because both of my eBay accounts go into the same account.
So I had to go through an override process with an eBay rep this morning, where I had to kind of fill out a form with them. And then they unfroze all the checks for me to update the account, and now it's going through the normal verification finally.
Yeah, I didn't have that problem at all. Now, to be fair, my second account, it became a store and it's growing to what it is now. But I opened that account a long time ago, probably
Okay.
7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that. I don't know. When I started doing like card heavy in one store, I didn't want to have my patches and T-shirts and all that stuff in there, so I just opened a second eBay, not a store, like you said.
Yeah.
But I put my payment account in there. It's the same one, and I get 2 payments from eBay every day.
Yeah.
One from each store, without issue. And yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why that would be.
Yeah. It triggered some kind of checks and balances. Took about 45 minutes on the phone with a rep today where they had to figure out, okay, how can we work around this? We filled out an override form that then they said, okay, everything should be opened up now. Put your stuff in again. And then it went right through and went to the normal, hey, in 24 to 48 hours, we'll have verification complete. But prior to that, I just kept getting an error message saying, we're having trouble verifying your account.
Interesting.
Yeah. But that's how they explained it. They don't really like the same payment account on 2 different accounts under the same.
I don't really care what eBay likes. If I tell them, I mean, it doesn't make sense. If I tell them to send it to this account,
no.
it doesn't. Why do they care? What difference does it make?
My guess is they put it in as a type of anti-fraud measure. If someone hacked your account, took all your account information, and started putting all these bogus accounts, or changing things, or I don't know. So yeah.
But you have to verify it anyway. They send you the deposits and all that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're through it now, but it did take a while.
That's good. That's good.
Let's see here. Joe says he had an issue trying to refund a buyer on Whatnot as there was no option that he can find to do it.
Same. Yeah, I had that problem too. I had one card showed up damaged or something. I don't remember what it was, but I said, "Oh, I'll just refund you for that card, no problem." It was $1 card or something. Yeah, I couldn't figure out a way to do it either. So I just messaged the customer and I said, "Hey, I don't have any more of that card left, but here's a bunch of stuff on eBay that I have that's like it. Do you want a different card?" And he said, "Sure, I'll take that one." So I sent it. Yeah, I don't know. Might have to try to find some other way to figure it out. Whatnot's got some really weird, quirky things. Like I don't understand they can't combine an order thing, and I don't understand, envelope shipping, why it's not available for fixed listings. And I think as their fixed market grows, which it is, I talked about this a few weeks ago. If you look at a lot of their advertising now, they talk about, hey, I wanted this and I went on this auction and I got it for $2 on Whatnot. And then they say, well, I bought this other thing and it wasn't on an auction at the time, but I found it in John's store and I bought it there for a good price. Like, so you can tell they're starting to say like, hey, you don't have to just buy live auction stuff here. We're adding a lot of marketplace stuff. So I have a feeling they've got a pretty good sized focus group, trying to work on improving some of those things in that area. Yeah, the
get better.
refund thing doesn't make sense. Like, why wouldn't there be a refund? And then, I don't know. It's funny when you go to some of these platforms and you see some of the weird things that don't make sense there. Then I go, oh, eBay is really not that bad.
So I say the same thing about CDP now that I'm using some other matching softwares and stuff too.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I think it's easy to, my point in that is I think it's easy to not appreciate what you have until you're going somewhere where it doesn't have it, right? And it's those platforms all have stuff to work on, lots of stuff to work on, but it's just so bulky, right? There's so much stuff to it, and we have to keep in mind that, just like eBay, Whatnot is not just for cards. If it was just a card platform, everything would be laid out for this many cards goes for this, and heck, Collects is just for cards, and they don't have it right yet. So, yeah, patience is going to be key with all those things for sure. But it's nice to grab a stack of cards that I sold in one eBay store, grab another stack from the other eBay store, grab a few cards that I sold on Whatnot, grab a few cards I sold on Collect. Like that stuff's all adding up.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. All right. Let's see. Just making sure I didn't skip something there. Daryl Valley's with us again. Says, I asked last week about your top 3 selling QB, wide receiver, and running backs. This week, I'd like to ask for 3 players at those positions you think should sell but don't. Thanks. I enjoy the show. So undervalued in the hobby market.
yeah. Oh boy. Let's start with quarterbacks, I guess. That should be the obvious one. Right now, I believe it or not, I would say Aaron Rodgers. Not very active in sales, and yet, I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. This is his last year. The Steelers are playing great. And I'm by no means an Aaron Rodgers fan. Okay, so it's not a bias thing. Neither is Mark Murphy, by the way. At least it didn't sound like it last night. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what other QBs. Probably Tua. And I think people are just kind of, I don't know what to do with this guy. Like he's concussed, and they have games where they score like 40 points, and then they have games where they score 3. Like it's the consistency is tough. I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
I think to some extent we often talk about Peyton Manning and John Elway. Probably
if you're talking non-current. Yeah, non-current. Peyton Manning's picked up a lot for me. I've been selling a lot more Peyton Manning in the past few months than I have previously. John Elway sells extremely well, so I have no problems with that. His hobby is great. Marino's is great. Montana is great. Young is great. Yeah, I mean, maybe like these one-off Super Bowl winners, they don't really have any hot, like Mark Rippon.
That's the thing. For me, it's all non-current players because they have a legacy to measure against where you can say, gosh, they should really sell more. For me at quarterback, it would probably be Donovan McNabb. He won 5 or went to 5 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl, but he never won a Super Bowl. And I think that limits him.
Sure, of course.
I mean, he was a solid player with a lot of fans, I guess I would say. Like he was in the media cycle all the time. He was a top play every week, but I don't really sell a lot of his cards.
Zeno McNabb sells pretty well for me, so it's one of those ones where I got something you don't. I guess I don't know. And I mean, he did Chunky Soup ads. That should be enough right there. With his mom.
Anybody, right?
With his mom. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need. Yeah, McNabb that's still a good example.
When I'm drinking now, it's getting down to the air bubble.
Yeah, you're gonna get it's gonna throw it down your throat otherwise. Let's see, wide receiver. For me, top wide receiver. Can you guess who it is? That doesn't get hobby. Not a current player.
The first name that comes to mind for me is Marvin Harrison, but that's probably not my top.
That wasn't who I was thinking of, but it's a good answer. Marvin Harrison sells okay for me. My top would be Steve Largent.
Oh, okay. I sell some Steve Largent.
He was an absolute stud, had a long career, Hall of Famer, and his stuff just doesn't sell for much, and it doesn't move quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got guys like Randy Moss selling pretty quickly and things like that. And I mean, Largent was, numbers wise and stuff. James Lofton maybe would be another one. Trying to think who else at receiver.
For me, the number one receiver I feel is undervalued in the hobby is Andre Johnson. He was dominant throughout his playing career, over 14,000 receiving yards. But he played for a lot of underperforming Texans.
Texans, yeah. Now his stuff is sold pretty well for me too. So like he's part of my sneaky players list, that I try not to share too often. He's on there as well as Calvin Johnson, things like that. Those guys who never really had the true accomplishments, right? They didn't have, MVPs and they didn't have Super Bowls and stuff, but
Yeah.
um
A couple other solid names would be like Torrey Holt, Hines Ward.
yeah.
Pretty good receivers in
I
their
just sold
time, but I don't
just
see a
sold a
lot of
Hines Ward card today.
Did you?
Yeah, actually
Did it have
it's in
pickup
my
on it?
stack that I haven't shipped yet. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Hines Ward.
Nice.
Orange Illusions card. Yeah, gosh, let's see. I'm trying to think of one more quarterback, but I can't off the top of my head. Difficult for some reason. I would have said Kyler Murray, but he's running out of his chances to
Yeah.
have any hobby.
We didn't get the running
mm,
backs yet either.
no, I know. We'll do that too. Let's move on to running backs. If we think of any more receivers or quarterbacks, we can pop them in, I guess.
Okay. So
Let's see,
running
running.
backs for me, I sell some of this player, but I think overall in the hobby, it's not as strong as he probably should be considering his legacy, and that would be Curtis Martin. He's like 5th all time in NFL rushing, and solid everywhere he went. So I think even though some sellers have success with him, he's not like an everyday seller, and maybe he should be.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. I'm thinking Sean Alexander.
Yeah, that's good.
With the Seahawks. I mean, he dominant teams. Played on those great Seahawks teams with the great defense and all that too. They
What
were
about
definitely a running team because they had zero throwing game.
what about someone like a fast Freddie Taylor?
Fred Taylor? Yeah, for the Jaguars. Yep. Again, some of these guys are on my sneak players list though, where I pick them up. You can get decent inserts for 10 cents, quarter here or there. Cheap rookies, 98 Topps Gold Label rookies for a quarter. There's money to turn in those.
And he was limited by a small market team for the NFL and,
yeah,
not a lot of postseason success.
Along with Fred Taylor for QBs, you could say Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
So
I've tried to move some of his stuff unsuccessfully.
Yeah. They'll go here or there, but yeah, it's a little bit tougher move. Yeah. Even Drew Brees.
That's a great name for the QB list. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame next year, which should get him a boost anyway, just because of that, because there's a lot of Hall of Fame collectors. But he had pretty good hobby for a while. When we had the boom in 18, 19, 20, he was still playing, and held some pretty prestigious records for a little while until, of course, Tom Brady took him over. Almost immediately, but very beloved. Played for New Orleans forever. Good team with hobby, right? People collect New Orleans Saints stuff, and yeah, his cards are tough to move.
Kind of a sleeper name in the running back category maybe is one Priest Holmes.
Yeah.
Dude had like almost 30 touchdowns in the early one season in the early 2000s, but I think he was overshadowed at that time by like a LaDainian Tomlinson who was still playing and stuff like that. But I think
James.
I think if you look back at Priest Holmes' career, he put up some dominant stats during his
Jamal
time.
Lewis.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier to pick out running backs than it is anything else, and it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and even some of the legends, like Earl Campbell sells for me, but it's not real quick. Jim Brown is probably the exception. He probably sells the best out of all vintage.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Couple quarterbacks that always surprised me too. I wouldn't expect them to be huge sellers, but Jim Kelly and Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, Jim Kelly especially, that Bills Nation, man, they got a huge, rabid fan base. You'd think they'd be, and again, he went to 3 Super Bowls but never won any. There's that portion of it, but
It just goes to show you how important that checklist is when you're talking about achievements for player hobby, right? MVPs, championships,
mhm.
high
But there's
draft
exception.
pedigree.
Can be exceptions to that too. Look at Dan Marino,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and he's one of the hottest selling quarterbacks of all. And why? Like, is it because of isotoner gloves, or is it because he played for Miami? Is it because he had the
Well,
greatest pass that you could ever look at? You
yeah, and
know,
he had
I
he had
mean,
the all-time top spot on a lot of the NFL all-time passing stats, though.
he did.
And he changed the game. He was kind of the forerunner of today's aired out NFL.
But do you think like kids recognize any of that? I don't know.
I don't know. I would question, is it kids that keep him relevant in the hobby, or is it hardcore
That's,
collectors?
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that's probably true too.
yeah. That's a good question. Appreciate that, Daryl. I like that question.
Yeah,
Mr.
that's fun.
Salty Pickle is with us.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Do y'all promote on eBay? Yes, we do. I used to, but found just running an inventory wide discount for the usual percent I promote at results in more sales. I also get larger orders when they use my coupon with the sale.
Yeah, yeah. I think to me, coupons have become more important than the promotion, for sure. Especially as you build a customer base, because they can just come back and buy. They don't have to find you per se.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely promote. I mean, that's how that I still think that's like the best way to get new customers. It's the best way to maybe get a card looked at that's not as obvious. That's not in the hot cards at the time kind of thing. It's not a downtown. It's not the rookie of the time kind of thing. Dylan Gabriel or who's the other guy everybody's looking for now? That's starting.
Jackson
Can't think of his
Dart.
name. Jackson
Yeah.
Jackson Dart. Probably don't have to promote that stuff too much, but if you got Jane Daniels rookies from last year where you couldn't keep them in stock and they were flying off the shelves, probably a little harder to sell this year. So, you're gonna have to promote some of those items. So I believe promoting is important. I wish it wasn't, but um, it, if you can use that and you can kind of price it in and get those sales, it puts you ahead of the other guy who isn't promoting. And that's basically all that it really means. So yes, we do. I do promote.
The right amount of promotion, though, is always a hotly contested subject and
Yep.
usually pretty closely guarded from seller to seller, as well as kind of a proprietary sales strategy. But there's a lot of leeway in there. eBay gives you a lot of wiggle room to decide your own strategy on promotions. So keep that in mind as well. But Adam and I are both aligned that we think there is an important place for promotions in the business,
I think the hardest part is you don't know how many other people are promoting and at what rate they're promoting at.
which is where
So
the dynamic is handy.
right. So if you've got a card you're selling and eBay will suggest a rate to you, but what does that really mean, right? And where does that rate even come from? But let's say I'm trying to sell a card and there's 30 other sellers of that card and they're promoting at 3%, I'm promoting at 4%, that's quite a leg up, right? Over 29 other competitors. Um, if there's only 2 sellers of that card, do you really need to promote it at a percent higher then? Because you could find the buyer anyway. There isn't much competition. So and you're not going to look at, well, I'm not going to look at every single card and see how many other sellers there are and what they're pricing it. Um, so yeah, I agree. I like the dynamic. It just kind of does it for me. And, if I'm willing to pay 3% promotional rate to sell this card, why wouldn't I pay 4%? if you look at a $2 card, it's 8 cents.
Yeah.
To me, that makes sense to aggressively go after that sale. Most of the time when I sell a card, I'm not selling one. That to me is a bigger key in to be successful, is to have multi-card sales. So to me, the promotional rate for a new customer that I'm getting, it's to get them in to buy that card, and then they use my coupon to buy all the additional cards. And then that's where you make the real money. And then hopefully turn them into a customer, and then they just come back. They either go to their previous order, go right to my store, they use my link, or I send them my business card and they scan the QR code, whatever. Try to make it as easy as possible for them to come back and place another order, and then you don't have to worry about promotions because you got the sale, organically.
Absolutely.
So those few cents I paid to get them in the door, place their first order with me, is a small, in my opinion, a pretty small investment to get them to come back and do more business with me and not have to pay eBay to find the buyer for me.
Joe says Charlie giving, I think you meant Adam there, the boot. That's right. Pros.
I don't have a boot. I'm left out of this. I was not informed.
It comes out 1 month a year.
Fair enough.
Dan's here. He says, anyone getting into the SpongeBob hype?
I mean, I try to avoid hype at all costs. If I find a box, a blaster box sitting on the shelf at Target, yeah, I'd buy it. Just like I would Disney or Marvel or any of those. The non-sport is my bigger search as far as like getting any of the product. But no, I'm not gonna like pay a premium to get a hobby box of it or anything, because it'll obviously fade. I think it's cool. There's autographs and sketch cards and things like that. You're going to see a lot more non-sport products coming out. We were just looking at some of the tops ones that were kind of getting announced recently, and they've got a pretty good schedule going now. You can tell they're really putting some focus on that and trying to get some more properties and put some more stuff out. And SpongeBob is a great example of that.
Yeah, I love the idea of the SpongeBob product. Super fun seeing some of the hits that people get. However, I think I'm at a point now where I'm like, as cool as some of these products are, it's not worth me getting a lot and getting 3 cards that I can actually do something with. And then all that base that nobody really wants. I think what I'm starting to form an opinion on with non-sport, Adam, and you've been doing non-sport a lot longer than me and you do more volume of it, but I'm starting to form an opinion that there is a bigger percentage of junk base in non-sport before you get to the cards with decent margins.
It depends a little bit on the property, but I would agree with that. I think Star Wars, you get a little bit more range, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of set collectors. So, I might get a Star Wars order where, sure, it's got a Padme and a, Leia or, Chewbacca or Boba Fett or, one of the obvious ones. But then there might be like a couple cards with the Millennium Falcon on it and a couple cards with, so I would say that's probably the somewhat exception to that rule. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can end up sitting with a lot of the base cards. I think the older cards for non-sport are actually better, because most of the set is made up of like shots from the movies and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And people want that full picture of that film experience. I'll use Back to the Future as an example, right? You got a card of Marty on the hoverboard, right? People want that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they buy the Marty McFly card and they buy the Biff Tannen card, the character cards and the stickers and all that. But they're kind of putting together the set so you can kind of sell more of and everything's a base card, of course.
I think there's more nuance in the non-sport sets. So, couple of things I think about there. one, I don't know that there are set collectors as much in non-sport as there are in sports. Whereas in sports, you have a 300 or 600 card set, and they want every single card because just about every card is a specific profile of a player, right? Versus non-sport, you have a lot of scenes, as you were mentioning, along with the profiles, and you have some behind-the-scenes stuff that maybe in and of themselves aren't as desirable to some collectors. But even the scenes, you're talking about Marty McFly on a hoverboard. I would consider that an iconic scene in the movie.
Sure.
I get people looking for that. But would someone be looking for the horse used in Back to the Future 2 when they go back to the Western town? You know,
Well, it was
that would
Back to
be.
the Future 3.
Is that 3? Okay.
Yeah. But
Would someone
um,
be looking for that scene? You
I
know?
don't know. I mean, I sell cards like that. So I sold 2 Dallas cards this week. The Dallas cards have been selling pretty well for me. Dallas, the TV show.
Yeah.
And that's all scenes. They don't even have like character cards or anything cool. It's like one of the worst sets I've ever looked at because there's hardly any border and there's no
Yeah.
names on it or anything. It's just a still shot from one of the episodes. But I don't know. I don't know. I think here's my take on the modern. Let's kind of get back on track here. Here's my take on the modern non-sports stuff getting more releases, more properties. It's going to help the other non-sport stuff.
Yeah.
So because I think you're going to get some people that get into that. Oh, SpongeBob cards. This is great. I have some Nickelodeon SpongeBob stuff that I bought a while ago, and now that's selling, right? Because now people bought the new SpongeBob, and they're like, "Oh, look at this sticker, this Fleer sticker set they had in 2001 or whatever the heck it was. I don't remember, but um, yeah, anything I can fill my store with that potentially can help me sell something else in my store, I'm all for it. But I agree with Charlie. Like, I wouldn't go out and buy a case of this stuff. Heck, I wouldn't even buy a hobby box. But that's kind of not what I do anyway. I would consider buying into a break. I really liked buying into the Disney break. I got some really cool properties, got some neat cards. I feel like I got a lot of value out of that break. But I could kind of focus on the non-sport characters in the set that I felt like would give me better sales, kind of to Charlie's point, right?
Yeah.
Other than the Chicken Little. The Chicken Little was just an easy grab because I knew it was the insert set and it was $5. And I ended up
Yeah.
with like 28 cards out of that. So that was a no-brainer. They might take forever to sell, but I don't care. That was just easy value. But yeah, if I participate more in that stuff. Now Cacawao, I just go out and buy all the Cacawao stuff. So I mean, if it's got multiple properties, that might play a little differently. I don't know. But if I were to buy more into something like this that was coming out, it would definitely be a break. I wouldn't go buy hobby boxes.
Okay.
I'd buy a $25 or $30 spot in a break and try to get some Patrick cards or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But I don't know that
Speaking of
much. I also don't know that much about a SpongeBob. I'm not a huge SpongeBob fan, so like it doesn't do anything for me. So
speaking of breaking, I'm going to shift gears to Haystack here for a minute because we've talked about them recently through the hardware I have, and we tried out their software a little bit too. But one of the cool features they do have, in my opinion, is they're really catering to breakers, and they have a checklist feature in the software where you can go to one of their live breakers that partner with them and stream through the software. And before you buy into a spot, you can quickly click on a checklist for that property and see all the different parallels and characters in there as you're making the purchase versus going someplace else. So it's kind of cool.
that's a great idea.
Yeah. Because, as we've talked about before, when you're doing a break, the checklist is everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to know what your possibilities for hits are and stuff like that. No, if it's like buy a spot in a break and it's random or something, it kind of doesn't matter because
True. True.
Like when I
But if
bought the team spot. Well, I ended up with the Seahawks. Well, I wouldn't have bought the Seahawks, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But if it's
you know,
pick your
all the
spot, then it makes a difference.
yeah. Then you gotta do a little bit of work on it and make sure it's gonna be something that's lucrative. Because when I was buying all the Disney spots and yeah, I did that. I went to the checklist and I'm like, man, there's all these Chicken Little cards and it was so cheap. You know, I'm like, why not? You know,
Yeah.
um, and that's just an example. But yeah, there's if you want to get into a Donruss break because you're trying to get these downtowns, well, you should probably find out which downtowns exist in the product.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even if you're in a Marvel break and it's some assorted set and you're like, well, how many Spider-Man cards are in there? Well, there's only 3 variations of a Spider-Man card in this one. That's
Right.
probably not going to be a likely hit then, right? So
True.
all right, baseball curmudgeon is here tonight. What's up, fellas?
How's it going, Mr. Carmudgeon? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Nice.
Yeah, we haven't had a goat in a while, so I feel like we
Yeah.
lack in our goat exposure these days. So do some goat out there for you.
Joe's talking about the Bazooka Rappers. He said they have named player rappers, including Mookie Betts, Karl Anthony Towns, and a few others.
Oh,
Not
interesting.
non-licensed though, and they're in cartoon form.
I'll take a look at them. I'm not a big rappers guy. I don't. If they were cards, I'd be way more interested, of course. But I'll take a look.
Hmm.
I wonder why they're doing that. Seems random if it's not licensed or anything.
Everyone's looking for something new and fresh.
I guess.
Dan says he was talked into buying a Chinese Pokemon booster box today from his boys. At least the price is cheap for them. So what'd you get out of there, Dan?
Yeah,
That's
from
what
what
we
I
need to know.
understand, there isn't a lot of desire for Chinese Pokemon. Everybody wants the English version, so I don't know.
We probably need Max to weigh in on that discussion.
Yeah, Max can tell us. That's not my area of expertise. Not even close.
The Flippin' Sports guys is here. Makes sense why they don't like it. They'd rather you upgrade stores and pay them more of a monthly. Yeah, I think we're going back to the payment account here and some of the refund things. That there's quirky actions that some of these platforms do.
I mean, honestly, it's not that big a deal. You could just have the money sent to a different account, but I don't see what that gets them. So
Yeah, it's an odd thing to build a wall around. Max is here. He says it's okay. Nobody is a Mark Murphy fan. Did absolutely nothing for us Packers fans.
oh yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, look at what they've done with Lambeau and all the area around there. That's a lot of his work, and brought Rodgers in. I mean, I don't like Rodgers either, but kept them competitive for many years. And so, yeah, was he perfect? No. Do I care a whole lot? Do I follow the Packers? No. So it doesn't really mean a lot to me either. But he sold a lot of shares.
He did, and he was highly responsible for the whole stadium district and getting that
Yep.
renovated. So
yeah, and I think he was a prime negotiator in the tax, right?
yeah.
So he did more things for the Packers than he did for the than the county, in my opinion, because he cost us all money
The
trying to fund
atrium
that
was
place.
under his watch too, right?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the whole tailgate thing, like the tailgate zone thing, he approved all that, and yeah. So I mean, credit where credit is due.
I think he'll be remembered more for the business side of the team than the on-field operations.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, for sure. But that's what he was there for.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Susie's here today. Good day, y'all from Australia.
Oh, he also hired Matt LaFleur, and most people have been pretty pleased with that hiring.
Susie,
anyway.
welcome tonight. Was it last week we talked about women in the hobby?
Yes, it was.
You did, and I don't
Yeah,
believe you were here, Susie, to weigh in on that.
I
So,
know the one week we did it, we didn't have our female
yeah,
viewer here. So welcome back.
right.
Hopefully you watch the episode. If you didn't, watch the previous live because I think you'll get a kick out of that. We put a lot of work into that one, and um, really wanted to sort of recognize that the growth in the hobby is not just young males, which is by far the biggest demographic and probably will be.
Yeah.
But it's great to see, girls and women and, coming in as well. It's amazing.
Now, I'm curious. I'm seeing some differences on user IDs today in the chat. So, Susie usually shows her store's name, Sparkle Sports Cards. And tonight it's her actual first name of Susie. So I wonder if something's changed about the chat. I mean, most of our followers look to have the same username in the chat, but I've noticed a couple people that names are a little different than what we've seen in the past.
They're ashamed to be associated with our show. They can't look away, right? We're that train wreck that you want to be a part of, but you want anybody else to know you're here. I get it.
Especially as I get further down the boot.
Right, right. I've thought about changing my name for the show too, so I get it.
Nice. Dan's got a candidate for underrated in the hobby. He says he was thinking Jim Everett for QB.
AKA Chris Everett.
Don't call me Chris again.
Don't call me Chris. That was pretty awesome. No, I think you're kind of on point with that. What's funny is I'll come across Jim Everett rookie cards in like quarter and 50 cent and dollar boxes once in a while, and I always pick them up if they're in good condition. And they sell. I always sell them. So and usually for asking price or just under. So one of those other sneaky plays. I wouldn't
Yeah.
buy like Jim Everett third year base cards or anything, but the rookies you can there's buyers for those. So
Yeah.
um
Now,
but yeah.
since Dan's out in the Cleveland area, what about Bernie Kosar?
Yeah. I've sold some Bernie cards. Again, his rookies do much better than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Kind of in that junk wax years. I think he was 88, right? 87, 88.
Something like
I
that.
want to
I
say.
don't know the exact year.
So just paper tops cards, and you can find them in discount boxes, and yeah, one of those sneaky QB plays that I like to try to pick up, and they will sell. But yeah, it's and Boomer. I think Boomer 86 because he's in that 86 top set, the famous green border with the stripes, right? Jerry Rice rookie
Yes.
year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he's in a couple of important sets, and they tend to move a bit. But yeah, yeah, long tenured quarterbacks, but not like huge success, right? They didn't win MVPs. They didn't win you know yards passing yard titles or anything like that. Super Bowls. So yeah, they kind of keep getting thrown down the ladder. New names come up that have more success, and
Mm-hmm.
just keeps
Mm-hmm.
pushing them down.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, Max says all these properties getting new modern cards is a huge top signal, in my opinion. I would stay away from nearly everything brand new unless you have confidence it will move within a few days of purchase.
Yeah, I mean, basically the stuff that I would buy, unless it was in a break or something. I mean, I list everything I buy right away, so it's not like anything's gonna sit anyway.
Yeah.
For that kind of stuff. I mean, I have older stuff that sits and I get to it, but um, yeah, like I said, it wouldn't be a big investment, so it's fine. If it turns quick, great. If some of it sits, that's fine too. But I try to look for key characters that always have sales. The superhero stuff. You got Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine. There's buyers for that all the time. Um, but I think you're right. I think something a little more fringy like SpongeBob's probably not something you want to get into heavy and expect like a long-term gain on that. Unless you're talking like the really rare stuff, the 101s or some of the sketch cards. by big artists, that kind of thing. You're probably only going to see depreciation on it for quite a while.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. As
I mean,
far as the Pokemon value is from different regions, Max ranks them here: English, Japanese, Chinese, Korean in terms of value. But Pokemon is smart. They have started making Chinese sets with exclusive arts and reprinting English, Japanese arts.
well, there you go. So those of you with those questions, there's the answers. Max
That's
is
right.
the resident expert in this area, so appreciate
Yes.
you, Max.
Dan says, I will let you know. I had to order it, only $50 shipped, and they look cool from the video. From what I saw, there was a few decent value cards.
Good. Yeah, look forward to seeing it. Seeing how you did.
Susie says she's glad to be here tonight, and she did watch last week's episode.
Oh, good. But tell us what you think.
I think she's going to do that.
We would love a female perspective on our efforts. Charlie and I speaking for females is like doesn't make sense.
No.
It's not a great idea. No, it was kind of something I wanted to do just because I'd mentioned to him what kind of kicked it off was I was like, this doesn't it seem like you're getting more orders from women? Because I had been noticing that more, and I thought, you know what, we'd be doing a disservice to not talk about that part of the hobby, and what's happened there with WNBA and just even going to shows and the national and stuff and seeing more young ladies and women and stuff, not just there as kind of support to their partner collectors and stuff, but actually being part of it. More female breakers getting bigger names and content creators and things like that. It made a lot of sense to do something to kind of show where that was. So I hope you liked it. We tried our best on something we're not too good at.
Nice. Max says, I care about the win-loss record. I don't care about the surrounding area. Should be paying taxes. Businesses make tons having the team there.
I agree with I think all of that. I don't really care about the win-loss record myself. I'm not a fan, but the surrounding area, he did do a lot for the surrounding area. You can't really deny that. But yeah, they are a business that makes money. They should be paying taxes, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And he says he ruined Aaron's career essentially.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think Aaron was implosion.
Just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
His shaman led him astray.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could blame some of it on like draft picks or whatever, but I don't know. The draft picks are such a shot in the dark. I mean, there's a lot of number one picks that don't make it through 2 years in the league. It's nothing's a guarantee. And I think moving on to Jordan Love was the right move anyway. So if you're talking about it from that aspect, but that's all, a lot of that's a matter of opinion. So I respect your opinion. If you think that, he had a lot to do with, Aaron kind of not meeting expectations and then moving on, that's fair. That's a fair assessment if that's how you feel.
Susie says she was happily surprised to see last week's episode.
Awesome. Glad. Try to throw in some more stuff like that. I think it was a good one. I enjoyed making it.
Susie's having trouble typing there for a minute. I'm not sure what she was trying to say there about
Sparkle. I hope you're okay, Susie.
I know. She realizes something bad happened there, so I think she's okay.
Yeah, there you go.
And she follows it up with Go Brewers. I like it. That's Susie, you're one of my favorites. I appreciate it.
I agree. Go home, Brewers.
She also agrees with the Jim Kelly selling.
Yeah. Jim Kelly rookies do okay. Like most of these guys, especially in the that were just paper tops cards and kind of the junk wax era, or right before junk wax, it's tough. It's gonna be tough for them to have a lot of market anyway, because there's how do you hype a card like that, right? um, so you can get sales on the rookies, and that's kind of where it ends. Other than maybe some autos and a few low numbered things, but yeah, they're a tougher market for
I would
sure.
agree. Max noticed it too. He says usernames are showing now instead of screen names or something to that effect. Yeah, but I don't think it's everybody's, so I don't know why.
Well, if your username and your screen name is the same, then it probably wouldn't look any different, right?
True.
So that might be why you only see some.
Good point, Adam. Good point.
I only have an A game.
Yeah. Jeez. Aitz is gonna watch this and he's gonna have fun with that comment.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. I'm sure. I wait for the comment. I look for those right away in the morning. Like, where's the pile of comments from? Yeah. Anyway, it's fine.
Average Dave's cards is here, and he says Flutie rookie cards are sneaky too.
I could see that. So are Steve Young rookie cards. I mean, I guess to be fair, Steve Young sells anyway, but
yeah, I don't think he's too sneaky.
yeah, that's true. I take it back. I was kind of thinking of like the Canadian Football League and the USFL stuff. Some of those are a little bit sneakier.
Yeah.
As they're not NFL cards, right?
But Susie says she sold a couple of the Phantom cards. Is she speaking of Kakawao Phantom, maybe?
Yeah, Kakawao is a Phantom set. There is a old school non-sports set called the Phantom, so she could be referring to that. I'm not sure. She'd have to clarify.
I think there's an old character called the Phantom too.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Pretty common name.
And there's a car called a Phantom, I think from Bentley or something like that. So maybe she sold a couple of
Lots of possibilities on that one.
Dan says Bernie Kosar. Yeah, hopefully he finds a new liver soon, as he's been holding on, but he looks rough lately. That's right. He does need a new liver, doesn't he?
Too many Das Boots, huh?
Das Boots, yes. Susie says maybe I can come on as a guest sometime. Hey, that's an idea.
I would love that. Some Australian accent on this show. That would really make it way more interesting. So I'd be down for that, mate. That's the best I got.
That was not good.
Stop. I said that's the best I got. Can't be good at everything.
Average Dave says newer Star Wars cards have the first cards of Jack Black, Bill Burr, etc. Some value there other than just Star Wars characters. Also leads to bigger auto chases. Yeah, I experienced similar with what was the standalone series a few years back? I think it was The Mandalorian, because I'm going to use her wrestling name, Mercedes Moné, was part of the cast for that. And I sold some of her cards, I believe, more because she was a wrestler than because of her character in Star Wars.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And I have one of those Jack Black debut cards, and I thought the same thing. Oh, this will probably go because of Jack Black.
Yeah, I mean, most big actors and actresses at some point want at least a bit part in a Star Wars production.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing. So you got Daniel Craig, from Force Awakens. You've got yeah, I mean, there's tons and tons of cameos and stuff. You've got what's his name? The Doc Brown. He was in one of the recent productions, and so yeah, you're gonna see more of that stuff, I think, as well. Continue to have hobby.
Although Daniel Craig didn't show his face, right? He was like a stormtrooper.
Yep, he was a stormtrooper. Yep, in the torture chamber area. Yep.
Max says Murphy was a bum. So is Thompson, and Goody is getting better. Still don't forgive him for pushing Aaron out. Probably never will. Green Bay has never seen close to the talent he had.
Okay.
So I think I do think Aaron Rodgers was a generational talent. I think that's indisputable. But I also do think he had worn out his welcome in Green Bay those last few years with just some weird stuff he would pull, and I think he got bigger than he thought he was bigger than the team at a certain point.
Oh,
now,
for sure.
May have been different in the locker room. We don't know, right? He could have been the best team guy ever in the locker room, but his persona outside of that locker room just got to be a lot of drama, in my opinion. And his skills were declining at that point as well. I don't think you can dispute that either. Was he still better than maybe 70% of the QBs in the league? Yes. Was he in the top 1% anymore? No, I don't think he was. I think
and that happens with a lot of veteran quarterbacks,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Joe Montana got traded, right? I mean, who's
Yeah.
a better quarterback? Tom Brady. The list goes on and on for, big names that ended up, finishing a career somewhere else. So it wasn't unusual. They had a young guy they drafted that they believed in, that they were going to be due to pay money soon, and they had no idea what he could do. Aaron Rodgers was a huge contract, that they wanted to try to get out of as soon as possible so they could pay some other players. There's a lot of business to it. It's not just all on the field. Talent is not the only thing that makes those decisions.
True. And you gotta do something with that investment with the young guys too. I mean, that's how Aaron Rodgers started off too, right? With Favre.
Right, exactly.
Yep. But I really felt like just watching Aaron Rodgers play the last couple of years, and I didn't dislike Rodgers, but I think it was a case where his body was declining faster than his mental grasp of the game, and he couldn't adjust to that. Like, his mind was still rip the seam, but his body was a half step behind, and that didn't lead to the results anymore. So I don't know. I thought it was the right time. Maybe a little too late, to be honest. I mean, things soured dramatically in Green Bay with him, and maybe that could have been avoided had it been handled differently.
Yeah, and you only see like what we're allowed to see, right? There might have been a whole bunch of meetings and different attitudes and players who had problems with them. Who knows? That stuff's not all going to be put out there, and it shouldn't. That's their business. But there might have been a lot of other things where it was like, okay, this is just not. He doesn't want to be here. We don't want him here. Let's, could have been just as much his decision as it was the Packers' decision.
Could have been, yeah. Susie says, "Old the Phantom, the man in purple."
Yeah, that's what I thought she was referring to. Yep.
Okay. I don't remember too much about that character, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either. I've sold some of the cards before, so I know what she's talking about from that aspect. And if I find them for a good price again, I'll buy them again. They're a decent market.
All right, Max wants to talk more about Rodgers and some of the other names you mentioned. Max says he is bigger than the team, though. That's the whole point. Every big QB is. There's some truth to that. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Max. I get what you're saying.
I feel like take the talent out of it and all that. You still have to have a whole team, right? To field. And I start going, how much my payroll's going to this one guy? And could I get, okay, let's agree he's the greatest talent at QB. Great. But can I get a bunch of good talent at other positions and get a good quarterback and be a better team? sometimes that's a hard decision to make too. You don't always need to have the best guy at one position. You can have a bunch of really good guys at a bunch of positions.
Yeah.
It's definitely a team game.
It is a team game. And Max says Montana definitely not better than Rogers. Better team, sure. But that's, to me, that's what makes, if I had to rank quarterbacks historically, I would rank Montana above Rogers for the simple fact that I think Montana made those around him better than Rogers did. Rogers had otherworldly skills, but making everybody around him better was not his best one. I think Rogers operated through fear to some extent with the young guys. That towards the end, I think that was part of the problem, that those kids coming up in recent years were not responding the same way as back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says Jordan fans are gonna say Montana Brady better than Rodgers, though. I don't know. I'm not. I would say, for me, the jury's still out on Jordan. I don't know if he's long term going to be on par with some of our greatest quarterbacks in Green Bay or not. I haven't seen enough yet. And I still would say Montana Brady better than Rodgers.
I think the biggest evaluation for Jordan, which we haven't really gotten through yet, is playoff performances, because I think that's where Rodgers really failed. I mean, you can have all those stats and do all those things, but then you have the record that you have in the playoffs, and that just speaks a lot of volume. Even the year they won the Super Bowl, they were the wild card.
Yeah.
They didn't just blow through the season.
That's true. People probably don't think about that too much.
Yeah.
And he says, I think the two decision makers above Aaron had just as much or more of a God complex than Aaron did. Fair. That might be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get a bunch of alphas in a room together, it doesn't always end well.
That's true. That is true. Someone's got to win.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we are caught up in the chat.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks everybody for participating. We didn't have specific topics tonight. We managed to get plenty to talk about. Susie, hit me up with a message outside of this, and maybe we can set something up and have you join us for the show. I think that would be amazing. Obviously, big time change difference and stuff. I want to make sure that it would work for you. Obviously you're here on the show, so you know what time it is there, that you'd have to be on. But I think that would be amazing. I would love to have you on. I'd love to hear more about collecting in Australia and, women collectors there. What is the experience like there? And you have card shows, and like, I have questions. So I would love to have you on and talk about some of that. I think it'd be super fun.
Yeah,
what do you think, Charlie?
We don't get the perspective of card markets in other countries very frequently. So I think that is really an interesting point of view I'd like to hear more about. I think we've heard from Susie that product is not always as readily available there either. So kind of hear how she goes through that challenge and hurdle. So yeah, I think we would have lots to talk about, not just from a male-female perspective, but also from location, market type discussion as well.
All right. Well, let's see if we can put that together. I think that's a great idea. I don't know if we're caught up in the chat. I think we'll end it for tonight. I still have orders to do. I was out all last night, so I got behind a little bit. So
what happens when you go out partying, Adam?
Got my stack here left I got to do yet tonight. So I'd love to get that done and get to bed at a decent hour. But yeah, unless anybody else has anything for sure to add, I'm ready to go. Yourself?
I think I'm good as well. I think we had a good solid discussion, even though it was free-form discussion tonight. Sometimes those are the best ones, right?
I got one more plug. Make sure the Discord's running across the bottom there. Make sure you join our Discord. It's free. A lot of great conversation on there, and a lot of times it's how we come up with the topics for the show. We just look at what's the trending convo on there, and that tells us what we have to address.
I actually
and-
used Discord this week to pick my topic for my next podcast.
See, there you go. Yeah, it's a great source of information and current news type stuff. What's the other thing? Oh, the Goat Show January 4th is the next one, Sunday, January 4th. Try to join us for that. We'll bring you some more information as we get it. And be sure again, to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified of this video live series in the future so you don't miss any. And if you're watching this recorded, try to join us live, be a part of it. We're here for you guys, and it's fun to have everybody work together as a team and talk about these topics. That's all I got for this week.
All right. Well, remember, when you see the goat, we're talking about some of the greatest of all time.
Ooh, that was really quiet.
Yeah, I got the noise suppression on again.
And remember, you can't sell what you don't list. Night, y'all. Hopefully you can hear that one. There we go. See you next week.